Welcome back to the Better Days Rain podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Daniell. Today in the studio, I have my wife, Sami Kane.
Hello.
And good friend from AA, Bruce Elliott.
Hey, bud.
How you doing,
Hey,
Bruce?
Good.
Good?
Good to be here.
Man, we had you on the show a while back, and we did the live Facebook show. And I hate the fact that Facebook deleted that show because I wasn't able to chop it up and do all the cool stuff that I can do with it now.
Wow.
So I'm excited to have you back.
Cool.
Real quick, I just to refresh everybody who missed that first episode, if we get like a quick testimony from you, but then I really want to cover, like, you've been in AA for how long?
Almost 10 years now.
10 years. And you were somebody, when I was coming out of my tragedy that, my wife thought really highly of you, and she was like, you need to go talk to her. So, and I'm really thankful that I did, and I'm really grateful for the friendship that we have today. But I figured for this to be a good show, like, let's talk about like sponsorship and how important it is to like share testimony, get that stuff off your shoulders, like the pluses and minuses, from different perspectives.
Okay.
But yeah, real quick, let's get a brief testimony from the man himself.
Yeah, in 2016, I was mandated to come into the rooms. I was one of those geniuses that was driving a Class A commercially licensed truck, 75 miles an hour with 80,000 pounds on the ground, usually higher than draft years most every day. And they ran me in, and I did a random UAs. They do those things and stuff and everything, and so I had to come out of the truck. And part of that, the stipulation is the evaluation was I need to go be introduced to AA.
Right.
And so I walked in. I knew about alcoholism and all that because I grew up as a young man, but I didn't know anything about AA off of it that way. I'd heard about the name or whatever, and they do this over here, and it was associated with alcohol. But I walked in that first night and stuff and everything, and I found me amongst my group of my peers is what I did, and so I felt comfortable really from the very beginning, and it just kept coming back, as I said, and everything, and finally sunk in and stuff because my life was definitely unmanageable, and so I needed it, I wanted it, I just didn't know how to do it.
Right.
And so AA brought me down with that, gave me an introduction to it. I stuck around, and thank God they did. I did.
So what was it like for you to have to step into a room full of people you don't know and, lay out some of that?
Man, I've been to rodeo dances
wreckage.
with people I don't know. I end up having a good time and dancing, so I don't know how it's going to be that bad, So
Right. I found it to be a liberating experience when I finally stepped in and started taking it seriously. That like there was some stuff in my past that was real heavy. So me opening that trust window to some people was kind of difficult at times, especially when some of the groups that I were involved with weren't so tight-lipped. And so it made it really difficult for me to open up some of those things. Made it even really difficult when we talk about sponsorship, right? I've been in the program 5 years now, and I keep it 100% honest. Like, I've never had a sponsor. Now I do have a coaching group. I do have really good mentors and colleagues that I work with that hold me accountable and help me through my day to day. So is sponsorship a must?
Okay, so when I came in, I didn't know it. I knew that alcoholics went to AA, right? But I still wasn't convinced I was an alcoholic back then. And I absolutely had no idea how to even start anything. So I felt like in the beginning, sponsorship was helpful for me. But I went through several different sponsors, right? And I learned something new and I have this fly swatter because there's this fly flying around here. And so if y'all see me swatting, this is why, okay?
Look out, she's dangerous.
I will get it. But I never could really, I think in the beginning, because I didn't know which way was up, down, sideways, like I knew I needed help. I just did not know what and how to go about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so the guiding that I learned from each and every one of the sponsors was very beneficial. Right. It taught me how to go about approaching clearing out wreckage and naming my character defects and identifying how I really want to behave, you know. But as today, you know, like over a period of time, I learned that I've had some kind of bad experiences too.
Oh.
And so today I don't have a sponsor. I don't want a sponsor. I don't feel like one particular, I know who I trust. And this is the thing that I had to learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even the people in AA with the best best intentions can still hurt you. And so I have a outside person, but it's somebody that I can talk to.
So you still have somebody that
I
you
still
can
have somebody that I speak with,
bounce off
and
of.
that I absolutely trust with anything that I have to say. And if I have something to reveal and to work through, I visit with that person, and that's my cousin, and we work through it. And then I work through a lot of things with Shawn too, and God.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I talk to God like he's my best friend. Like he's sitting right there in the room, and I'm just like I'm talking to you guys. And so over a period of time, I learned how to do that better.
Right.
I did not know how to do any of that in the beginning, and I think I needed that guidance. I needed that direction, and it brought me a lot of relief. But today, I don't necessarily need any of that
I get you.
in that particular sense.
You know, for me, early on and stuff and everything was I was fortunate enough to meet what they say, the old timers, you know, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
James Whitman. Did you ever meet James Whitman?
I did.
And I probably shouldn't be, but he's passed away now. So I mean, I love James. I always have. But he and I got along perfect from the very beginning. There was just no bullshit. There was a little bullshit, you know, everything, but we could just tell each other, and we knew when we were telling each other, this is straight up, bud. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever I met him and he became my sponsor, you know, things like, we don't, you know, you introduce yourself as an alcoholic instead of an addict and stuff and everything because it's to respect those that came before you. Teach me things like that, you know. And I understood that. I understood the respect of the situation like that. But he's the one that I needed in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
As you're saying now, I don't necessarily need one as much as I did back then.
Mm-hmm.
But just the process and everything, the way everything goes down in the meetings and everything, he was helpful to let me know and to inform me on things. He also, you know, he'd been in AA since he was a kid. His family went there and stuff, so he'd been there for a long time. Excuse me. But that's why I felt fortunate about sponsorship and everything back then. Now, I've had people, again, young guys come to me and ask me to be a sponsor. Talk to them one time and never see them again, you know?
That's usually the
Seems
gist
like
of it.
that's what happens.
That's usually the gist of it.
Okay, bud, if you got this, okay, you just go right ahead, okay? But
Yeah.
I recommend that you probably talk to somebody for a little while.
No,
But that's just it. You just never see them again.
I agree with you on that. It's, you know, and I probably, if I would have picked up a sponsor when I first came into the program, that would have been the type of sponsor I would have been. You know what I mean? Like there takes a level of commitment to commit to this, and just I think a lot of people when they come in, either they're not ready or they don't really know what that level of commitment really is, and you know it's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, I've documented everything in my recovery. Like it's all on paper, and I'm telling you, that stack of paper about that.
Same.
Well, and that's what they told me. It said right. And
Yes.
I said, I don't like to write. I don't but do it anyway, okay?
Yeah.
But my first 4-step is we sit down and we plan the 4-step, our 5th step and everything is to go in, and I handed it to him. It was about this, you know, about that much paper written down there. He goes, gave it back to me. He said, go back and do a real 4-step. And I thought, oh, well, he caught me on that one, didn't he?
Yeah.
So early on, I didn't know exactly, you know, what I can get by with and what I didn't, because I tried him. I did.
Right.
And because that's how I survive out in the world and everything. Maybe I get by with this, maybe I can't, you know. So I was still kind of living that lifestyle and everything.
Yeah.
But I went back and I did a true 4-step, and we did a 5th step, and I felt so much better because I did that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew to do that, you know. He was had enough experience and everything to know that you ain't getting by with this, bud.
Yeah.
Get back there and write your 4-step and do it like it's supposed to be done. And I revealed some stuff that I've never told anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I never probably wouldn't have if I hadn't gone in there.
Yeah, I had one mentor that he was he said, well, if you don't trust anybody, then you need to take your butt to a church and just go ahead and confess it to a priest.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody.
You know, confess it to a priest.
It's good to get it out I think that it's good to get it not just on paper, but it's really truly somebody that you truly trust.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, even the preachers, they're ordained and they're not going to say anything to anybody. They don't know anybody. So you can, you know, confess those things. And I was so angry when I first came in. I was just so angry and so bitter, and I couldn't see past myself. And working with someone and talking about some things and doing that first fourth step, it really did help relieve a lot of that anger.
Yep.
I wasn't as angry anymore. And then I had to, you know, I reworked them several times. And so I worked through different things each time. And today I just do it on my own.
Yeah.
You know, and then when I get ready to talk about it, I either talk to him or I talk to Katie or I talk to God.
And they told me to go to the book studies and stuff. And they go to the book studies, you know, you'll get a little bit of variety on different personalities and stuff. But there's nothing like social network like there is in AA. That's the biggest social network I've ever seen in my life.
It
Huge.
It is a big social network.
I got my next driving job through AA. Driving again.
I can say my job, that my 9 to 5 that I work outside of here, was from a kid I used to mentor at Moss Lane. He got promoted and was able to give me a weekend job. You know, that was my first job coming out of jail. So yeah, I mean, I agree. Like it does. It has a really big network of people from different levels and classes. You know, I really enjoy the mold that's in there and hearing people's stories. You know, there's something about not just sharing your story, right? Because like I've learned, like when I speak about something, it's different than when I'm talking about it in my head.
Oh yes.
Because when it's in my head, like I can twist it up, I can manipulate it, like I can still find ways to make it your fault. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
could you give yourself time to get right?
I can still find my out. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point of it, right? Like I'm playing this tape in my head. I'm like, there's my out. You know. But when you speak it in front of somebody else, you're convicting yourself of it. You know. So once it's out there, it's out there. Now I have to address it. You know. And so, you know, we had this talk earlier today in the meeting. You know, I was telling people about participation. That you get out of the program exactly what you put into it.
Sure,
absolutely.
Right? If you're one of those people who don't want to talk, or I'm not saying you have to talk at every meeting, right? But once you've been in the program for a while, you need to start sharing, unloading some of that, right? Because
you need to be a part of it.
You need to be a part of it, but it's still stuff that's it's bondage. You know what I'm saying? Like it's keeping you bound up, and those are things that you need to release. At some point, you got to find somebody to share those things with. And I've noticed that just telling my testimony can be some of the greatest service work that I do. You know what I mean? Especially for the newcomers. And there's times where I'll go into the room and I'll lay something just like super raw. And I'm like waiting to catch all the ugly looks. I'm like, because I know they're coming. But today I don't care about that, right? Because I've unloaded all my baggage out 20 times, 1,000 times already. But it's for those newcomers.
Yes.
Right? It's to let them know, like, bro, like, you've got some stuff eating you up inside, but like I've got some worse stuff that was eating me up, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there so that way you know it's safe for you to put yours out there.
Well, I usually ask a newcomer and stuff and everything. I said, "Do you want to get sober? Do you want to get clean? Do you want to?
Yeah,
tell me." And look them in the eye, because they had me doing service work when I first came in and stuff and everything, because they were open at 7 in the morning. Everybody go have coffee.
Yeah.
And then they try to find something for me to do because I'd be in their way because I was going to stay there. So, you know, I swore that I moved everybody at least twice in my pickup, you know, because they found out Bruce will go move, you know, all that stuff. Well, I'd take a newcomer with me to help and stuff usually. And I found that having a one-on-one talk with them, just in my pickup and stuff, I'd find out a lot more things that way than I would any other way.
Right.
And so I'd just ask them, do you want to get clean?
Right.
You got caught, okay, I understand that. You got the judicial scholarship, you know, and you're on paper.
The judicial scholarship, I love it.
So, do you want to?
No.
Because if you're going to ask me to be your sponsor and stuff, I want to know if I'm going to invest my time like that. Because I don't want you calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I'm not going to come get you out of jail.
Right.
I'm not your daddy, not your mama, not your doctor, not your lawyer, okay? But I will come in here and give you an understanding of what this big book's about and get a better understanding of yourself.
Right.
Okay? So you just be honest with them like that. Look them in the eye. Because like I said, I'll meet them one time, never see that fucker again.
Oh yeah, I mean it happens so much, and that was a huge reason that inspired the whole podcast, right? Because I started looking at some things, and I'm like, are people not willing to get sober, or are they just not willing to go to AA? You know what I mean? So it was like, well, let's try this social media outlet so people can get their dose of recovery in their car. They can get their dose of recovery
Absolutely.
in their home. You know what I'm saying? Like while they're out running, doing things like whatever,
Right.
you know, to where it's not so such a hindrance on their day to day. Right.
And you never know what you might have to say, or what, something that you worked through might help, or like, oh, I hadn't thought of that
Right.
for someone else. You know, I'd never told my story before until May 8th.
Really?
And I'm critiquing myself because I did okay, but I didn't
She did
talk.
good.
I
She
did
did
not
good.
talk enough about what I did in.
That was at the Touch of Soul, right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't talk enough about the what I did in recovery. I touched on it, and I named some things, but I can do a little better. But that was my very first time, and I've been in this program. I mean, I've been in this journey of recovery since 2019, and I'd never told my story before. And so, but sometimes when you first come in, I know when I first came in, I didn't know shoot from Shinola, right? So I didn't want to talk because I didn't know the protocol. I wanted to see, kind of gauge,
Right.
okay, how does this kind of thing
That's
work? You know what I mean?
I got out of my sponsor. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Right.
I got that
Right.
information out of him and stuff to find out.
Absolutely. But then once I started learning more, then I started speaking. And now, especially if there's newcomers in the room and they're struggling, and I have something I can offer, you darn right I'm going to say something. But I'm not always AA literate with some of the. Am I saying that right?
Well, you know,
Because
think,
I do a multi.
I think when it comes to that, like when we're doing the group discussions, you just speak what's on your heart.
Right.
You know,
I
like,
agree.
it's not like doing a book study, right, where we're focused on the actual literature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're doing the group discussions. It's just what on your heart, what's
Right.
worked for you, what you're feeling.
I
in that
know the
moment.
big book. I don't preach the big book, but I do. Because I work a multi-pathway recovery today, and but I know the verbiage in the book,
Mhm.
and well, here's what I find funny: in the big book, it does not mention sponsor anywhere.
No.
It does not. It suggests that you find a clergyman,
Mhm.
find another alcoholic to work with or to talk to work things out.
Right.
It does not say sponsorship.
No, it doesn't.
So I find that kind of interesting, but and how hard that sponsorship is
Well,
pushed in AA.
I think that's one of the big problems we see with counseling, right? It says it right there in the big book. Find another alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have counselors and psychiatrists who are super book smart, but they ain't never lived that life.
Right.
Right.
And they can't.
You know what I mean?
They don't.
And
They don't
so,
understand.
For me, when I was going through therapy and counseling and all this stuff as a kid, and you know, of course, you go into prison, you have to have a counselor, and you have to have a counselor. And I'm talking to all these counselors, and I'm like you can just tell, like, lady, you want me to air out some stuff to you, and you don't know nothing
Yeah.
about
And walk
what I'm
that
talking
life.
about. You know, and I think my dad really was the one that kind of deterred me away from opening up to people because even through my drug use, he was like, you just got to put down the drugs. That's your problem. Just put the drugs down. And I'm like, and I would tell him, even as a young kid, I remember 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I would tell him, like, Dad, there's something wrong with my head.
Yes.
Like, there's something wrong. I can feel it. There's something wrong inside my head. No, you're just lazy. No, you just don't want to do the work. And so, it of course, it compiled, right? And made a very chaotic situation for my childhood. But I always knew that, like, there was something not clicking.
Absolutely.
Correctly.
I felt it too. And my dad would tell me, he's told me the same thing. just put it down.
Yeah.
Just stop
My
drinking.
stepdad did that to me. He said, why don't you just
Why
quit?
can't you? I don't
don't you just
understand
quit?
you. What's wrong with
Because
you?
he did. You know, he says
Exactly.
that,
And
you know,
that's
but
great that they
I
can,
said,
but
I don't know why I can't, but I
something
can.
is not right in
Man,
here.
I ain't gonna lie. By the time I was a young adult, when my dad would tell me this, that's like fighting words at that point.
Right?
It's like you
For
don't
sure.
understand, man. Like there's something just like seriously messed up here, and you're ignoring the problem. You're telling me what my problem is.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And they think that we're just trying to avoid the issue and not do anything
right,
about
right.
it. You know,
But
and
that's
I've done
not
but it's not true
necessarily
by any
it.
means.
Right.
No.
And so that's why it's important to get somebody who's gone down that road.
Mhm.
Yes, and I will tell you, the very first time that I walked into an AA room, it was in the little podunk town that I was living in, and I was like, I am not like that. I am not like that. I can't relate to. Why am I in here? And my dad decided to tell my story for me because I wasn't going to talk. And then this prominent businessman came in and sat down, and I knew who he was. But he knew who my dad was, and my dad didn't really know who he was. And he proceeded to kind of tell his story, and tears just started running down my face.
Wow.
Because that man I could relate to. I could relate to that being a prominent member of society and not actually living, in the swallows or whatever, and just letting your family down over and over, and just I just could relate to it, and that's the first time that I knew, okay, maybe I can get something out of this. Maybe not this particular group, but that man's testimony is what got my attention.
Wow. Yeah, we were at the pavilion one time. I went with Kip to do some, pass some stuff on, a meeting and stuff on. And there wasn't very many people come into that meeting. There was like 3 guys and 1 girl, young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she came over with her head dropped down, wasn't really looking at anybody or anything. And I go, oh, man, I'm just feeling for her. I was feeling, I hope she's all right. And so we went around to me and stuff, and I told her about, there was a truck driver and stuff and everything, my situation, why I was mandated to come through AA and be introduced, and all that, my story. And as I did that and everything, her head started picking up, and she started looking at me straight up. She was listening to my story, and I could see her that she was listening to me. And so, I told him, I said, I don't know what your story is or anything, but, this is mine, and there is help out there if you want help and stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So after the meeting, she came up to me and she said, thank you for what you said. She said, my dad's a truck driver. And so I appreciated that, and I like what you had to say.
Oh.
And so she picked her head up, she smiled at me and stuff, and right then I knew that my message got across.
Yes.
I knew.
And you never know who it's actually going to help or touch.
By any means, yeah.
I can tell you that when I lost my kids, it did some serious mental damage to me. Like I hated myself, and
I can relate.
When I had my last relapse, I was going through this period where I wanted to get back in my kids' lives, right? I'd had this about 2.5 years of sobriety, and I was wanting to step back into their lives. And by this time, the state of Texas had already taken my rights. I already had no contact orders put against me, so I was still thinking, okay, get an attorney, and see if I can combat this thing a little bit.
Do they or will they let me back in theirs?
Yeah,
Right.
and so I was thinking all these things, and like, okay. And then me and my oldest daughter, when she turned 18, we started talking, because she was old enough, the contact order fell off. And, but it was at that time when we started talking that I realized that even if I got back in my children's lives just for them, like just, to be their dad, that other side of the family, not for one, ain't going to allow it, right? But 2, would make it extremely toxic for my kids.
Really would.
Right? And so I was feeling inside like I just needed to.
Because they trained them early on it already.
Right,
yes.
right. So, and mind you, my 18-year-old is severely pissed. But like, it just came across like, all right, bro, you just need to back all the way out. So that way they can have a good life. Quit trying to fight it. Quit trying to be selfish and step into their lives, because no matter how you try to get back into their life, it's going to be toxic for them.
If they ever want to find me, to be available for them.
Right. So, but I didn't.
You know, some kids.
I wasn't
some
thinking
kids
that
want to know
way.
who their dad is. Am I like him? Am I act like him? The physical features. Do I have that? See, my mom and dad split up when we lived in Denver, Colorado, when I was very young, and she was telling him that she was going to leave him and all this because his drinking, his womanizing and all this.
Yeah.
He beat her with a belt that night, and I was in my room and I heard it all.
Yeah.
And so that physical pain and torture that I went through early, that sets in with you. It really does.
No.
But later on, I wanted to know who my dad was. Okay, at the end, I had no idea who my dad was.
Right.
And so my mom remarried and stuff and everything. We moved to Hartley on a farm, and greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And so he came back around. Do you want to see him? My brother asked me. He said one day, do you want to see him? I said, yeah, I want to see him. So we went and saw him up in Dalhart and stuff. Boy, was I disappointed.
Oh.
I was totally disappointed. Yeah,
Mm.
he was still an alcoholic, bad time. And just had that poor alcoholic attitude and stuff and everything. And my brother said, let's go. So we
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
I've tried forcing myself back into my kid's life, like you were talking about. And honest to goodness, y'all, it was probably the worst thing I could have done because I was still trying to heal. I was still figuring myself out
Right.
and what was really going on with me, and I wasn't ready. I was still having problems. And so I did even more damage than I had already done before,
Right.
trying to reconnect with them. And it wasn't until this last time that I finally surrendered to that. It's like, they're doing fine. They're grown. They have their own families, like.
Are they down in the area where your family's from?
Actually, they're up towards the Pampa area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I finally just came to the understanding that me trying to selfishly put myself into their lives was toxic for me and toxic for them because none of us had really healed properly. And I just kept doing more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now today, like, I know I'm not the same person I used to be, but I've learned to respect their boundaries and their wishes. And I have reached out and told both of them that I'm here if you ever want to have a relationship with me again.
Cool.
But I'm not going to force myself onto them because I did too much. I did way too much.
Did they reach out to you?
My son, no. But we did have a conversation, and he told me that he forgave me. And but that he doesn't really want to be enmeshed with me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
No.
Like I talked about going out there next weekend. And so I asked, he was in the room with my mom, and I said, I'd like to come see y'all Saturday if everybody's okay with it. And so she just flat out asked him, and he was like, I don't care. She can come.
So he has a relationship with them.
Yeah, he has a relationship with them. Now,
That's
my
cool.
daughter, we text every great once in a while. We look at each other's social media, but I'm just not going to force myself because I put that kid through the ringer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I trying to be a part of her life, thinking that that's what I needed to do, and I did more damage to her doing that than I might have done before.
Well, I hope it works out that gets better.
I think here's my thing now
Well,
today.
God has control of that
God
too.
has got control of that.
Absolutely. He
And
does.
whatever is meant to be will be.
Sure.
As long as I keep doing the next right thing and I keep myself and just keep leveling up,
Keep your side of the street
just
clean.
keep
Well,
doing
it is
better
that.
and
That's
better
right.
and better. Then eventually God will open that door.
Right.
And I believe that.
Yeah.
And it's taken a long time to get there, though. Long.
Sure it is.
Yeah. Yep. I was the same way with my kids.
Mhm.
I had to come to a conclusion that, I absolutely do not like in any way the people that my children are with. I don't. Like, I'll come forward like I do not like them at all. But they have taken phenomenal care of my kids.
Absolutely.
And for that, I'm very grateful.
You know what's damaging for us is to keep that in our mind that we feel that way.
And I know it. I know it.
My mom said something to us when we were very young off of it. She said, I'll never say anything bad about your dad. Okay?
And I don't
Never.
talk bad
And
about
she
him.
never did. Not one word she ever said bad about that thing. You find out for yourself.
I don't talk bad about them. It's an inner thing, right? Like, I know what happens if I step in that ring. Right. I know not only do they get damaged,
I
I get
understand
damaged.
exactly what you're saying.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just, so it's
See,
it was-
300 miles difference between me and my third wife. I can guarantee you, we've got to keep that much difference out of it.
so when I had my last relapse, I fell into this deep self-hate. She was there. She saw it.
I saw it all.
It was bad. Like, it was bad because that's when I finally was like, all right, I'm stepping all the way away. But I hated myself for stepping all the way away. Like, I
He
just
beat
hated
himself
myself
up.
to the core.
Mm.
And it wasn't till after I got out of jail, I was watching this testimony on YouTube from a guy named Chris Herron. He was an old basketball player for, I think, the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
Got strung out on heroin, messed his whole life up, and went
Powerful.
to treatment. And he's talking about in treatment how the counselor handed him a phone and said, "You're going to call your wife, and we're going to call your wife, and we're going to play like you got into a car wreck and that you died. And you're going to play dead for your kids so that way your kids can live."
Oh my God.
And they played that out, right? Because he was no good for his children, right? And that's how I was feeling. I was feeling that same thing. Like, I just need to step all the way back and play dead, right? But I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't walk into AA and talk about it, because how do you talk about stepping away from your children without 10,000 people saying, calling me
say you sorry, I'm
yeah,
Right,
just,
right.
you know what I mean?
You don't care about the change.
Exactly, you know, and you know, that was the biggest piece of self-love that I could have done for my kids, was to step all the way back and say, you know what, they have a good life. I'm gonna let them have a good life, and I'm gonna quit putting all this toxic stuff into them. And when I did that, and when I heard him say it, it made me feel inside like, I'm not the only one going through it. You know what I mean? And it made me feel better. But once I committed to it, I realized that it wasn't about them at all. It really was not about my children at all. It was about me setting me free. And once I was able to set me free out of love,
Right.
I was able to just, like, everything just started falling into place. You know, but I couldn't do that until I let it out.
That's what I was talking about earlier, that sincere faith and trust that you're talking to God about. He knows the difference of it.
And that's the one thing that's the one thing that I've never let go of, was that wanting that reconnection with my children.
Sure.
I mean, I've fought that. I've fought it all the way up till just recently. I mean, the last 2 years I've been working on it, but I haven't done a great job of it. I've left them alone, but like inside, I've beat myself. Right? He helped me see, by doing that for himself, he was able to kind of teach me how to go about doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was tough.
It is. It's very
super
tough.
You know, it's one thing to have to go through it yourself, but then have to show somebody else how to do it.
How many kids do you have?
I have 6.
6?
I have 6 kids, and I have 5 grandkids.
Wow.
I haven't seen my children in 12 years, and I've never met my grandkids.
I have a stepson that lives in Reno, Nevada. He came out of the Marines and then ended up in Reno. I know, met a girl or something like that. But his daughter texted me this morning before she went to school.
Aww.
Papa, what are you doing? Are you doing all right?
Yeah.
That's
She got a phone.
sweet.
She talks to me all the time. Man, that's the greatest feeling in the world. Right
I'm
there,
waiting
man.
for that day. You know, I'm waiting for
He
that
and I
day.
have a relationship, but his mom, no, there's no way. It's toxic.
You know, but I've talked to some people about it, and they're like, man, you missed their childhood. Like, just accept that part of it.
Right. That was
Right.
hard.
But once they come of age, you never know. You never know what can happen when they come in. Now, my oldest 2 daughters, we talk too loosely on social media. They send me pictures and stuff. My third oldest daughter, she's the mad one.
Are they down in Dallas area?
They all live down in San Antonio area,
San Antonio.
New Braunfels.
I see. Yeah.
But you know, she's absolutely pissed. Like, she's
going through it.
She's raging, and I don't blame her. She's mad at Dad, and
You weren't there. You're sorry.
Well, no, it was. We actually had a real talk about it. She is her father's daughter. You know what I'm saying? So she's very blunt, very, very forward.
She's very forward.
And she's just, you know, she said, Dad, I'm not mad that you got in trouble. I'm not mad that you got strung out on drugs. She said, I'm mad because you said you were coming back.
You didn't.
You know, and you didn't. That's what I'm mad about.
They hold you to those things.
And,
They do.
You know, I can't blame her for that.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her for that.
I got you. I understand.
You know, I don't even try to rationalize that, you know, because truth be told, you know, I would love to say it's the no contact order that, you know, prevented that.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely put me in a mindset right? To where, why should I even try?
But that goes back to sponsorship too.
But I still crashed
if
out.
we're going through an issue like that, a good sponsor that you trust and stuff might say you might want to touch base with them a little bit, bud. If you get into that position early enough, where it's not now, you're thinking back after the fact.
Yeah.
Good sponsor will say, man, you might want to think about.
I mean, bro, like
reaching out there.
I went 39 years before I ever found an AA room. You know, I was out there for 25 years, and it's not like in Dallas. When you're running around in the hood, it's not like a big old AA sign with arrows pointed to it, like, come kick it.
I wonder how many's in Dallas, though, actually. I mean, I looked up a directory off
I mean, I know there's quite
it's
a few.
It's got to be a lot.
But this is kind of like the anonymity part of AA that frustrates me to death, right? Because I never ran across one. And there was nobody in the street going like, hey, you want to come catch an AA meeting with me? You know, like those weren't the conversations.
But there's directories out there. I know when we were over in Santa Fe one time, there was a directory and we found one over there and we went over there and had a meeting and stuff and everything. So I know that there is out there, but
no, they are out there.
I would think in Dallas it'd be kind of hard to find one that you feel comfortable
with. It's not present on the mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not talked about. It's not voiced, you know, that anonymity thing. And it's just like, so that was one of the things that frustrated me. And another reason we started the podcast because I wanted to get out in the street and start really trying to help some people. And AA was like,
and you
reach out.
You can't do it. you can do it, but you can't use
I'm
us.
sure in the court system and stuff and everything, it may be some verbal there off of that way, but there's got to be a bunch of them going down the Dallas area.
I'm sure there are. I mean, we've been to some of the Celebrate Recovery down there, and it's
my
pretty
dad
big.
goes to CR down there. And I've been to a few of the AAs like around the Plano area. But I mean, like you go down to the hood.
Right.
No.
There's
game rooms.
It's just not talked about. You know, there's not a lot of.
It's not present on people's minds.
Yeah, and it's not put out there, you know, to outreach, to reach other people and stuff. It's all about, you walk into the door, you know. The reason we created this podcast is so that we can get the word out to other
different places and different resources
all across the world. Like, okay, AA may not be for you, NA may not be for you, but you know what? There's all kinds of different ways to go through recovery.
Get introduced to it anyway.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, you get introduced to it. I know college was some huge steps for me. Like, I learned a lot taking myself back to school, you know, because just as much as you got to do work inside the rooms of recovery, like you got to put that same level of commitment into yourself out in the world.
Right.
Absolutely.
So as I'm working on this, like I have to be doing something out here too, or this doesn't work. They go hand in hand. So, you know, and it really frustrates me a lot in treatment facilities. Even the homeless shelters around here, like nobody pushes higher education anymore. Nobody. It's go out, first job you can get, pay your rent.
You know, that's something that I found at the club and stuff and everything is that there was a lot of people following each other going back to school. They saw some effort and some success there, and maybe some of it was sponsorship, I don't know, but a lot of the ladies went back to school and they were getting their, you know, their associate and their other degree and stuff and excelling that way and stuff. So I've seen it to where they're going back and they're encouraging it.
It's like they have purpose again.
Sure, yeah.
Going to school, bettering anything you do, anytime that you want to try to better yourself and level up, you start building some confidence.
Well, in Amarillo as a whole, I think there's some really great AA recovery.
Absolutely. There is.
And effort and stuff from people and stuff. And I've seen it from day one. And I'm not as involved as I was before, living in Vegas and stuff. I still come over, you know, on a meeting and stuff and everything. Sunday, I love the Sunday meeting. And so I'm not involved with the club like I used to be.
Right.
Or the group and stuff. So, but I need a little break too.
You know, I have a friend of mine's a counselor. He says, man, I counsel 6 months on and then I take 6 months off and I do something else. Because you do hit a point of mental exhaustion.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's not always you just digging through your feelings, but you're digging through everybody else's feelings in the room too.
Yeah.
And it sometimes that can be a lot. Like there's times like when I'm coaching and I'm teaching, plus doing AA, plus having to do things, and she'll look at me and she's just like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, I'm just exhausted.
He needs a break.
So I need 3 or 4 days off to sit at home and just recoup everything before I go back to work.
Well, you have to have that.
You know,
I do.
I still go to meetings and stuff. I'm not as involved as I used to be, but it got to the point to where I felt drained. Like I was giving, and I wasn't getting a lot back. And I did. I took a break for a while, and I stopped going for a while. But what I did do in between that is I worked at Synacor. You know, when I was working at Synacor, I never went to a meeting.
Well, that's
but
a
I was
different-
in those, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was in those meetings at Synacor.
Right.
I was holding those meetings
Right.
at Synacor. So
Yeah.
I was still getting recovery, even though I wasn't attending the rooms. And now I can step back and go back into their rooms, and I have a lot to give.
Different
And
perspective.
especially since the stress has been released from us, like, we have some relief.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so much more clear-minded and like at peace, because I didn't realize how heavy that was on me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you can do that.
Hmm.
I do. I feel like you really ought to everybody ought to take a break when they get ready.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it's healthy to take a little bit of a break. Now, not too much that you're going to fall off, but like sometimes you just got to regroup.
When I announced that I was coming off the steering committee, and John Standish came to me and he said, "It's okay, Bruce. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Your decision's good. It's okay."
Well, I know that
And I go,
crushed everybody.
"Oh."
Everybody was just crushed. They're like, Bruce is walking away. You
That
know,
was good.
I did it too. I was on the board for a while over at Touch of Soul, and I was just like,
I don't like I'm not a good politician.
politics side of
I
things.
suck at it. So I don't want to be involved in that, because I'll either say something that will hurt somebody's feelings, or I don't know the etiquette, and I want to do more, and I'm not allowed to, you know, and all the logistics. I don't want to be a part of that.
I hear you.
Also, I give kudos to everybody that is, but it's not for me.
All right, y'all. Well, I think we ran it for a good about an hour or so.
We
Let's
did?
get a closing thought from everybody. Sammy, closing thought.
Why you got to put me on the spot?
You got the fly swatter and you just swatted me with it.
Closing thoughts.
Closing thought. What do you want to tell? What do you want to tell the people watching?
Don't give up. You are not the sum of your mistakes. We are absolutely here to walk with you, or mentor or whatever. But yeah, keep coming back.
Bruce, what you got?
God gave us those traits and stuff to be unmanageable. Our lives to be unmanageable. you know?
Amen.
And we have other ways. We have ways that we can get them manageable again.
That's right.
Free will's
You know?
bad, ain't it?
There's a program out there. Keep coming back, just like they say.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for showing up, man. Like it's been a good long time, and I'm glad we was able to shoot the show in a new studio. You know, a year later, and you know, if I want y'all the people watching to take anything away from this, man, it's, you know, sponsorship, sharing, you know, being a part of the group. A lot of it's taking ownership, right?
Yes.
And that's really what sharing is about. It's taking ownership of whatever trauma you're going through, whatever mistake you've made, you know, whatever it was that triggered you down this path of destruction that you went down, right? It's important to find someone you can trust, someone you can confide in, and share those things. Take ownership of it, so that way you can learn from it. If you never take ownership of it, it's like it never happened. You know, it's like it never happened, and since it never happened, I can keep manipulating or twisting it or bending it the way I need to. You know, taking ownership is really the first step, and you know, stay committed. You know, come into the program not 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but get 10 toes deep on it. You know, make a commitment, make a real change, and you'll see that real change if you put away whatever it is you were going through and commit to being a new person. It can really turn into something very beautiful. You know.
Amen.
And with that, I think we're out, y'all.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate y'all.